To be followed by Jamie Hepburn.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I would begin by saying that I do not disagree with John Swinney when he talks about the recovery, the slow recovery and growth compared to many other European countries. But I would suggest that the answer to that is not to ditch our comrades, friends and family in England, Wales and Northern Ireland. The answer to that is to ditch the Tories in 2015 and get a Labour government. I would, however, turn to the White Paper and the currency. We now know that the UK Government has made clear that, in their view, the currency union will not happen, a position also taken by other political parties in the UK level, where there is agreement that it would not be in the interests of the rest of the UK to accept a currency union with a new state of Scotland. Now, I would have to say that I don't take too kindly to a public schoolboy coming up to Scotland to tell us that we will not be able to use the pound. But the fact is that all the evidence suggests that it would not be in the interests of the UK to enter into a currency union with a new state of Scotland. But more important, I do not believe that it would be in the interests of Scotland to enter into such a currency union with the remainder of the United Kingdom if we had taken the decision to become an independent state. I would suggest that it is the worst of all worlds. Keep the pound, have no say over it, no say over interest rates, money supply, the banks, employment targets or crisis measures. So I would have to say, if you want to keep the pound, then we should stay within the UK with direct representation to Westminster, which makes the laws on the economy, and to have direct representation in government, which supervises and sets the targets for the Bank of England. Economic union, common trading and commercial relationships remain essential. Ironically, even those who want a separate state now favour retaining this economic union with the UK, with shared administration of monetary policy, interest rates, inflation targets, money supply, crisis measures and macroeconomic stability. The difference between the parties is that the SNP wishes UK control without Scottish representation, whereas the Scottish Labour Party wants to ensure that if these matters are under the UK administration, then Scots will have a say in the decisions that are being made. But I also want to focus on what I believe is the unfairness of the SNP government's proposals and the greater inequality that will result for Scotland if we form a separate state as proposed by the SNP. Take one policy, a 3p cut in corporation tax. Scotland's wealthiest companies, to the equivalent of £125 a household from the public purse, lost to public services and handed to the most profitable companies in the corporate sector. This is just one example of the SNP unfairness versus Labour's fairness. We will not put money into the hands of big business whilst budgets are being cut to schools, to colleges and cut in support and skills to help people get into jobs. No, thank you. The SNP policy would take Scotland on a race to the bottom, and you have to wonder what would be next. But it is not just the handouts to big businesses, for we know that the SNP government will not support Labour's proposals for the transfer of £286 million to hard-pressed families through the energy price freeze. Ironically, it is these same energy companies that will have a double boost under the SNP proposals, for they are also the biggest beneficiaries of the corporation tax handout being proposed as part of the drive to create a separate Scottish state. So I say our economic priorities should be to address the big challenges that are facing our country. 21% of 16 to 24-year-olds are unemployed. College admissions have fallen 36% since 2007. It is not tax handouts to big businesses that the economy needs. It is a national skills strategy and a national jobs strategy. It is the measures to stop low pay. It is having the courage to say that we will insist on a living wage for all public service contracts being issued here in Scotland. It is having the vision to say that we will transform our education system to make sure that no child is left to fail. For I don't believe and cannot accept that any child was born to fail. So in conclusion, Presiding Officer, what is glaringly obvious about the economics of the White Paper is that it will promote inequality, doing very little to address the big issues facing Scotland and Scotland's people as we move forward.
Thank you. Call Jamie Hepburn.